Yadunandana Today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 7, chapter entitled Further Inquiries by Vidura. We're reading text number 4. Asrakshi Bhagavan Vishwam Gunamaya Tamaya Kaya Samstapayatyeta Bhuya Pratyapidhashati Asrakshi Bhagavan Vishwam Gunamaya Tamaya Kaya Samstapayatyeta Bhuya Pratyapidhashati Asrakshi Bhagavan Vishwam Asrakshit, caused to create. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Vishvam, the universe. Gunamaya, endowed with 3 modes of material nature. Atma, self. Mayaya, by the potency. Taya, by her. Samstapayati, maintains. Etat, all these. Bhuyaha, then again. Pratyapidhasyati, conversely dissolves also. Translation: by his self-sheltered potency of the 3 modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again. Please repeat. By his self-sheltered potency of the 3 modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This cosmic universe is created by the Lord for those living entities who are carried away by the illusory thought of becoming one with Him by imitation. The 3 modes of material nature are for the further bewilderment of the conditioned souls. The conditioned living entity, bewildered by the illusory energy, considers himself a part of the material creation due to forgetfulness of his spiritual identity, and thus he becomes entangled in material activities life after life. This material world is not for the purpose of the Lord Himself, but it is for the conditioned souls who wanted to be controllers due to misuse of their God-gifted minute independence. Thus, the conditioned souls are subjected to repeated birth and death. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, we are in the jailhouse. We are in the great lockup, great lockdown, big slammer, any other colloquial terms for jail. We are in the prison, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam and Prabhupada's purport. It certainly doesn't feel for me that I'm trapped, or at least sometimes I might think, or slightly realize that I'm trapped here and that I am completely under control, but it doesn't always feel that way to me. And it's explained that it's due to the illusory energy. Maya's job is to keep us here. Krishna's inferior energy's role is to keep us trapped here into thinking that we are these material bodies. We've heard it time and time again. Yesterday, in our Sri Upanishad discussion, we heard that previously people would hear things once and they would understand it and never forget it. I think I've heard Prabhupada say, "You are not the body," maybe getting close to 1,000,000 times, I think. Still haven't got there. Why is that? Maya's job is to keep us pressed down and covered over of our true identity as eternal spirit souls, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So we're hearing here that it is due to a misuse of minute independence. So being part and parcel of Krishna, who is the supreme independent, we also possess the quality of independence in a very minute form, not in the quantity that Krishna possesses his independence. So it seems, although we may not remember, that we chose to try to enjoy. What's the verse here? What's the sentence here? Wanted to be controllers. So at some point we wanted to be controllers, and we can look at our own lives, even our family life, or our friendships, or our job, and we can analyze how much are we trying to control the situation, how much are we trying to manipulate the material world for our satisfaction, for our enjoyment. So, the prison house of the material world. I was listening to a lecture last night by His Holiness Chandramauli Swami, and he was mentioning how the prison house is governed by these three modes of nature, and we can see even in the material prison houses, the prison house within the prison house, the actual jails, that you might have three levels of inmates. You might have your average prisoner who's finishing out his sentence and just watching the days go by. And that prisoner is likened to be in the mode of passion, or governed by the mode of passion. Then you might have those prisoners that like to play up and continue to break the law even inside jail. And these prisoners often receive pretty harsh repercussions like solitary confinement, confined to a very small space with very little light or no natural light, and one meal a day, very simple food. These prisoners are likened to be governed by the mode of ignorance. And then you have prisoners that might be very remorseful and take up responsibilities in order to govern that prison, or help assist the prison keepers in their roles. And these are likened to people in the mode of goodness, who are trying to be in the mode of goodness, trying to work their way out of that jail as soon as they can. And then, of course, you have the people outside the jail, transcendentalists. You might have the governor that can come and free anyone at any point in time, likened to the spiritual master or Krishna himself, can come and free that prisoner from his conditioning. So we want to become free. And if we don't want to become free, if we don't think about it too much, all we need to do is hear some transcendental knowledge here from the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Acharyas to be reminded of what the actual situation in the material world is. It is not a nice place. Prabhupada said it's not Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said it's not a place for a gentleman or a lady. So, if we're trying to become comfortable here, and if we're feeling comfortable, then we're in a very dire situation. We're in a lot of trouble if we think that we're going to be able to make a comfortable situation for ourselves here. Thus the conditioned souls are subjected to repeated birth and death. So what is it that binds us to the material world? Sticking with the analogy of the jail or the prison and the criminals, it is said to be the shackles of sex desire or sex life. Maitunya argam, I think it is. So it is the attraction between male and female, the desire to want to enjoy somebody else, is these shackles that bind us to the material world. So this is a very, very tough chain to break, and it can be done. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita, actually? He says to Arjuna, it's lust only. Right? And then what does he say is the remedy or the rectification?
Higher taste?
Higher taste. Wonderful. Param drishva. So the only way that we can give up something like that or anything material is to gain a taste for something higher. And what is that higher thing? We would hope and we hear that it's spiritual ecstasy, spiritual bliss, love of God. And then how do we get that? How do we get that higher taste? We get it from somebody who's already got it. So bhakti or devotion or love doesn't manifest from anything, especially in the material world, except from itself. Bhakti comes from bhakti. So it is our great challenge or mission to find those who have bhakti, to seek them out and beg them for it. One of my dear friends used to say, we're nectar hunters. Let's become nectar hunters or nectar bears. And let us seek out the nectar at every moment and try to drink it up, try to bathe in it. Wash ourselves clean of the material contamination. So bhakti comes from bhakti. And we can hear firstly what bhakti is, and then where bhakti can be found, and then how bhakti can be acquired. The process of hearing transcendental knowledge is very much where we begin, and it continues all the way through our spiritual life. In fact, it never ends. Hearing and chanting about Krishna never ends. So this material world is being carried out, and some people may argue that it's happening all by itself, and that there is no one in control, but we're hearing here that the Lord caused the creation, and it is being directed under the modes of material nature, referred to here as her. So we hear the verse Parasya Shaktir Vivadaiva Shruyate. What's the rest of that one? Balakriya. Very good. So automatically carried out by the Lord's potencies. The Lord simply has to desire something and it happens. Conversely, ourselves can be a great struggle in order to achieve our desires, especially if they are against the will of the Lord. So the process of bhakti, therefore, is to align ourselves again with the will of the Lord. According to this, we can extrapolate that we did once exist in unison with Krishna and his desires and his will. And then by a slight misuse of the independence, we maybe thought to ourselves, Prabhupada explains, I think, that I wonder what it would be like to be Krishna or to be in control, in the middle, the supreme enjoyer. I was talking to Nishrama Kavacha Prabhu at Krishna Village the other day, and he said his understanding is we've never even left. We're just in a little bit of a daydream. You can catch yourself daydreaming even now in this wakeful state. Might be thinking of all kinds of things. So we're still there with Krishna in the local Vrindavan, and we're just thinking to ourselves briefly, I wonder what it would be like. And Krishna shows us, casting us into the material energy, to try to become the Lord, to try to become the enjoyer. The only problem with that is we don't have the capacity to be that. And we therefore take birth again and again and again in order to try to fulfill those desires as best we can. And despite meeting frustration and after frustration, we might continue to enjoy until one of the Uttama Adhikaris, completely free from the material energy, or Krishna himself, come and wake us up. Come and throw a spanner in the works, as it said, by giving us some divya gyan. You are not the body. You do not die. You do not die after the cessation of the body. And you don't belong here. So may we hear that message again and again, and then begin to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, which is Chaito Darpana Marjanam. How are we to realize that we are indeed a spirit soul, that we are part of Krishna? The process is given to us by Krishna himself and the spiritual master, which is to chant the holy names of Krishna and in that way associate with Krishna, as Krishna and his holy name are non-different. Does anyone know that verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Krishna and his name are non-different. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. Thank you, Maharaj. So yes, by chanting the holy names, Krishna is there directly. There is no difference between Krishna and his holy name. So the more we chant, and the more we chant with attention, with knowledge, backed up by some knowledge, Krishna begins to reveal himself more and more, and our heart, our consciousness becomes cleansed more and more and more, because Krishna is known as Pavitra. He is purifying. So let's associate with Krishna as much as we can through the holy names. Kirtan. We just had a roaring kirtan this morning. Felt a little bit purified after that. So we should try to get to as many kirtans as we can and chant the holy name on japa beads, walking to coals, putting out the garbage, whatever we're doing. We heard last night in that Ishopanishad purport that whether one is in distress, or it's very easy for one in distress, we hope, to remember Krishna and chant his name. But even when things are going well, we should remember this is the blessing of the Lord as well. Chant his holy names. Be with Krishna always. That is Krishna consciousness. So yes, the process is given by the spiritual master, the transcendent person, who is completely free from the modes and free from birth and death. So they give us the process, and by following it, we can also get the result. There is no exclusivity to Krishna consciousness, spiritual life, or bhakti yoga. Bhakti is not dependent on anything, so there is no exclusion. Everyone can take up bhakti yoga, and this is Lord Chaitanya's mission, is to spread bhakti yoga to everyone, everywhere, no exclusions. So it is simply a matter of taking it up. And we may have taken it up to some extent, and we may need a reminder, speaking for myself, to engage wholeheartedly with great enthusiasm and confidence in this process. That enthusiasm comes from hearing the message of Bhagavan and the Bhagavat, gaining a good understanding of the spiritual science, so there should be no doubt left in our mind and in our heart why we're doing it. And if there is any doubts or any concerns or queries, we should feel free to ask. We should search out that person who has the nectar, who has that bhakti, and ask them all the questions that we have. There is no wrong questions. And in that way, clear up any misconceptions we may have. It's important to note that questioning should be done in a certain mood, which Krishna describes himself. Tadvidi pranipatena, pariprashnena sevaya. With humility, with some submission, we can approach those who are practicing bhakti yoga and ask them, why is this happening to me? What do I do in this situation? Why do you chant Hare Krishna? Etc., etc. Clear up any doubt we have, as well as reading the books on our own time, the prescribed books from Srila Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita, especially Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, Sri Ishopanishad, and the nectar of instruction, and gain a very good understanding for the process of bhakti, and then with full enthusiasm charge into it and become transcendently blissful. That's what we want to be. We want to be happy at every moment. I thought I'd leave my smartphone over there with my notes and try to test my memory. Yes, so the question might be raised, well, okay, we wanted to be independent from Krishna. I can accept that. And I wanted to try to be happy away from Krishna. So the question could be asked, well, Krishna is all powerful. Why didn't he just let that happen? Why can't he just let that happen? Is Krishna attached to being the big guy, the big chief in control? Why can't he create a situation where I can be happy separate from him? Would anyone like to comment on that? He's with us anyway, Nandu. Yeah.
We'll exploit the opportunity.
We'll exploit the opportunity. Yeah, Alex?
It's just not our nature. It's just like impossible.
It's impossible. It's not our nature. Parama?
Yes, Krishna knows that level of happiness is not going to satisfy the soul.
Wonderful. David Gorhari.
Love has to be really given, so it doesn't give us
Wonderful answers, everybody. So we're here at free will again, the old question of free will. Love is free. It has to be freely given. Otherwise, it can't be called love. And it's impossible. Rupa Raghunath.
Prabhu says, everyone has to leave.
Everyone has to leave. Yeah. But Krishna could make a situation where I don't die. Right? That's the argument, isn't it? Not in the material world. Manibandha, Prabhu? They're very good. He has made the arrangement. So all wonderful answers. And yes, so the desire of the soul is to love unlimitedly, to enjoy unlimitedly eternally. And Krishna's created that situation for us in the spiritual world. And he is the one that can reciprocate fully with that desire of the jiva. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam. Krishna is maintaining and supplying, maintaining all living entities and supplying all of their wants and needs and desires. So Krishna only, as the Adi Purush, the supreme enjoyer, the original person, can support and satisfy our desire for love and enjoyment. So it is our state of disease, or our state of ignorance, that is not allowing us to be in that relationship. So I love the analogy of the disease of jaundice, the jaundice of ignorance, disease of ignorance. This is the only thing that is keeping us here. So let us endeavor to acquire transcendental knowledge. Krishna says he gives knowledge in your heart when he sees your desire to have it. The two birds in the tree. The observing bird is simply waiting for us to turn our attention to him and be done with the fruits of the material world, the so-called happiness of the material world. So we're very fortunate that we have Lord Chaitanya's blessings. I asked Manu Maharaj, I thought I'd worked out a way to leave Krishna consciousness again, you know. Maharaj, even the demigods don't seem to go back to Goloka Vrindavan so easily. What chance do I have? And he said, well, they don't have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So we have the mercy of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, great acharyas, Srila Prabhupada, that if we simply take up the chanting of Hare Krishna, hearing the Bhagavatam and hearing the Bhagavad Gita, following 4 regulative principles, taking Krishna Prasadam. We go back to Godhead. What's the problem? I think Chandramouli Maharaj was mentioning the 3 things from Lord Chaitanya. Sadhu Sangha, Jiva Doya, and Namaruchi. 3 very powerful things to gain the favour of the Lord. So let us be merciful to the Jivas. We have received this great benediction. And Krishna says no one more dear to him than the one who goes and spreads this message to others. So in whatever capacity we have, on our social media channels, in our businesses, here at this temple, Harinam Sankirtan, let's spread the mercy that we've received, gain the favour of Krishna, associate with the devotees to get that disease, that infection, I should say, not disease. Let's get that infection from the devotees who have it, go out and give it to others, and then let us beg to have a taste for chanting Hare Krishna. So we have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. There is nothing stopping us but ourselves. So may we all encourage each other and engage in Bhakti Yoga. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Any questions or comments? Mani Bana Prabhu?
Thanks for your class. For just a comment about the demigods. I think it's in the 3rd canto, Prabhupada comments that even the demigods are lining up to take birth in the Sankirtan movement to get Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So everybody, the facilities available for everybody. It's just a matter of taking advantage.
Thank you very much.
Prabhu, if I can, if they're lining up to take birth, they're aware then. Why line up and take birth? Why can't they instigate their own program of bhakti and amongst themselves? Why do they have to take birth? They're aware of that, knowledge that we have available.
Mani Bana, would you like to respond to that?
Well, I would comment that the heavenly planets, the propensity for enjoyment can be overwhelming, whereas the human form of life is considered the ideal facility to practice your sadhana within the Sankirtan movement specifically.
So that's what they're recognising.
Lovely answer, yeah. Not too bad, right? How you doing? Not bad. The Bhumi is not too bad, not too great. His Holiness Deva Mrina Maharaj would say the 3 places in the world very hard to practice Bhakti Yoga. Does anyone know that one?
You go there.
Hawaii and Brazil. He says Brazil, Hawaii, and Moilamba.
It's so beautiful.
So it's like the heavenly planets. So we have to try even harder. That's our challenge. You could always go somewhere where there's a bit more suffering if you want. But Murmansk. Go to Murmansk.
You know where that is?
South Russia, northern Russia or something?
Near the Arctic
Oh,
Circle.
okay, northern Russia. So that's a good place to practice. Yeah, so Manibandha's answer there. My understanding also the heavenly planets, too much enjoyment. And then we burn up all of our pious credits and have to take birth again. In fact, he was quoting Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said many of his disciples will take birth in Swargaloka, having taken up Bhakti Yoga and then given up pure devotional service at some point, and then take birth in Swarga. How long do you live in Swarga? Is it 100,000? 10,000? So we must take this process very seriously, because if we do go back to, or if we go to Swarga, having not completed our bhakti, we will come back at a time when Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya's mission is 10,000 year golden age will be over. Kali Yuga will be in full flight.
Comment that why don't they just take up their own,
is because Lord Chaitanya only comes once in a day of Lord Brahma. Is that right? Or is that Lord Krishna? Both. So that's a long wait, because Lord Brahma's life is like, one day of his is how many yuga cycles for us? Is I don't even know.
1,000 yuga cycles one day.
Yeah.
4.32 billion years.
Yeah, and then the demigods are shorter days than Lord Brahma, but still, that's a long wait even for them. So, start praying.
So, love of Godhead has never been easier. And the two brothers, Gaur and Nitai, have opened the floodgates of the storehouse of love of God. It's simply a matter of taking it up, drowning yourself in that ocean. David Gaur Hari, Prabhu, please.
They also want the association of devotees here. They want the association of Lord Chaitanya's exalted devotees here. When he was here and his followers also. So those devotees are here.
Thank you very much. Rupa Raghunath, Prabhu.
Prabhupada said it's the greatest loss that we put in so much blood, sweat and tears to make devotees. It's so difficult. And it's the greatest loss if they leave, give up Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said it's like half their fault if they leave and half our fault or the movement's fault. So how to reach out to those devotees who've done so much service over maybe many decades and then they leave, and it seems very difficult to reach out to them because as we know, once burnt, twice shy. If they've been burnt, it's like difficult to get to them and attract them again.
Yes, so Jiva Doya, let us develop compassion. I can attest to my own story for leaving Krishna consciousness for many years. And to answer your question, just pick up the phone, send a text message, knock on the door, whatever it takes. Let's be genuine friends with devotees. And if they have any troubles, let's take compassion on them. And I can remember my own experience. Let us reach out. That would be very pleasing to Prabhupada and Krishna. I remember the story of Madhu Dvisa Prabhu being left, and the devotees were criticizing him. Prabhupada said, "You are making it impossible for him to come back." So let us remember that example. And someone like yourself, I know you reach out to devotees regularly. So let's follow Rupa Raghunath's example and call those devotees we haven't seen for a while and we care about. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.